Welcome back to Hannity. Now, throughout the entire Obama-Reid shutdown, the White House and their left-wing cohorts used every dirty, old, worn-out trick in the book to try and demonize conservatives and members of the Tea Party movement. But did Americans see past the lies and the low-blow rhetoric? Our own Frank Luntz is in our nation's capital. He has a bipartisan focus group of voters. Frank, did they see through the strapping bombs on extortionists, anarchists, blackmailing? Did they cut through that rhetoric?
Sean, I feel like you just pushed thesaurus on your computer. I don't know how happy you're going to be with what they have to say, because all of you, on the count of three, who do you blame most for what happened over the past few weeks? You ready? 1, 2, now. Yes. I don't hear it. Give me a word or phrase to describe Congress.
Dysfunctional, impractical, spoiled, out of control.
Jordan.
Babies.
Knuckleheads.
Petulant.
Give me a word or phrase to describe Barack Obama.
Principled.
Sad.
Resolute.
Unbending, uncompromising.
There doesn't seem to be any... Do any of you blame them all? Raise your hands.
Yes.
An important question. How many of you would throw them all out if you could? All of them. Why?
Because they aren't working together. They aren't making any sense. They're just fighting.
And how are they supposed to work together?
Compromise. Everybody's got to give up something.
You throw them all out.
Yes.
Why?
Well, because they are not representing what the majority of the people want.
And what do the majority of people want?
Well, the majority of the people want a government that works. They want laws that they believe in. And I guess really there is a divide in this country, so that's a big problem.
I think Congress, both houses, are in need of structural reform. I think Olympia Snowe has put forth an idea which really makes a lot of sense, that they should work 2 weeks on and 1 week off, instead of having 6 weeks off for recesses and not really getting anything done on a current 3-day week.
Go ahead.
I think the Senate terms need to be shorter. They are too complacent for 6 years.
But none of that's going to happen.
I think if you're going to go structural reform, you have to go back to the states and get rid of the gerrymandering so we have a Congress that's more reflective of the country that elects it.
I want to poll here. If you had to choose between the President and Congress, who do you blame more? Who blames Congress more? Who blames the President more? Does anyone here vote for Mitt Romney, but you blame Congress more? I got to know. Tell me why.
Because it's the law of the land, and the easiest way to get ObamaCare to go away
Frank,
is just to let it work, because it's completely dysfunctional and it will collapse on its own.
Sean?
Frank, one thing I want to ask everybody, we're scrolling on the bottom of the screen tonight throughout the hour. The increased premium costs, 45 of the 50 states, dramatic increases for 27-year-olds, 50-year-olds, that was put up there. ObamaCare, the president promised certain things about ObamaCare. $2,500 savings. It's going to be, on average, $7,500 increase a year. It's costing 3 times what they told us it would cost. A lot of people can't keep their own doctors. Do most people agree, understand that this is nothing like the way it was sold to them?
Yes.
You agree with that?
Yes.
It was a bait-and-switch program, but nobody knew what was going to happen until they rolled out.
No, I mean, during the whole, when he was running for president and he was, debating against Hillary Clinton and John Edwards, he criticized them and ran attack ads for their support of an individual mandate. Then he goes to the president, he signs one into law, he defends it in the Supreme Court, and then he's willing to shut the government down in order to keep it.
So you say that he shut the government down just to keep the law on the books?
I believe so. He said, I'm not negotiating over my signature law. So
but there's no doubt that the cost of health care is going down, and they're either because of ObamaCare or structural changes that are going on within society.
How can you say that when so many people are reporting that their premiums have gone up hundreds and thousands of dollars?
Not the premiums, the cost of total health care. The cost of
so many people are reporting theirs went down as well, so it goes both ways.
No, there are not.
I heard him say that. That doesn't make it true.
By the way, hold on 1 second. I just want to make a point, Sean. The moment that you got to Obamacare is when the group erupts.
Yeah.
The moment that you talk about health care is when everything divides.
Well, but the reality is, Frank, we've got to take a break, but I promise we're going to come back to you, but 45 of 50 states, premiums are going up, and they're going up dramatically. And that seems to have gotten lost in all of this. because people are going to suffer, and it's nothing like what they were promised. But we'll come back. This is a great focus group. We're going to have more with Frank and his bipartisan focus group after the break. And still ahead tonight, we're going to play for you Paul Harvey and an admonition, a chilling warning to America in its entirety. You're going to want to share this tape with your family, your friends, your coworkers tomorrow. Stay with us. It's all coming up straight ahead. And welcome back to Hannity as we continue with Frank Luntz and his focus group, bipartisan group of average Americans. Frank, I have one question, and I'm going to let you take it from here. I am very concerned about where $17 trillion in debt, $90 trillion in unfunded liabilities that we're going to have to pay out, obligations we put on the books. We're robbing our kids blind. Literally, every working American owes $123,000. There's a plan out there that's called the penny plan. And I think it's a great solution. Cut 1 cent of every dollar that government's going to spend every year for 5 years. How many would support that idea? I'm just curious because it's a bipartisan group.
Look at this, Sean. Wow. You got almost everybody. But Mike wants to challenge you on something.
All right, Mike, go.
I do. You threw out a couple facts concerning the cost of the Affordable Care Act and the people involved. And my question is, where did you get those statistics from? There have been a number of statistics that, depending on the source, they've been conflicting. And so
Forbes magazine,
I think it's easy to throw out.
Forbes magazine said it's the average increase for premium is going to be $7,500.
And is it actually accurate?
The Heritage Foundation, as we said at the beginning of the program, they analyzed it state by state for a 27-year-old adult and for a 50-year-old adult. And I have more anecdotes than I could possibly get into this whole segment, but I want to give it back to Frank.
Glenn.
Okay, I think what we're missing is the law was flawed fundamentally just on its basic premise.
But the law passed.
Well, but I'm just saying they were expecting 30 million people, young people or so, to sign up for it. Okay, these people don't necessarily think they need it, don't want it, and they're finding out.
So that's their choice. Am I wrong? The
you
law
can't expect
passed.
a new entitlement program that's passed with one-party support to be accepted by the entire country. You just can't do it. He had the chance to compromise when Obamacare was created at the very beginning, and he said, no, it's this way or the highway. And what was Nancy Pelosi's quote? You have to pass it to know what's in it.
And how could it have been passed if all of the people who sit in Congress who've had an opportunity to review the law, to look at all of the various tenets of the law,
entitlements in our nation's history have been passed
but not limited to the fact that it was upheld by the Supreme Court. So certainly these are people who were bright enough to look at some of the issues with respect to this law.
I honestly believe that if he had given just something to the Republicans when the law was created, it would be a completely different rollout.
Understand this. This cannot continue to be about him giving something to the Republicans. This is about, is this law good for the people of this country?
Right.
It doesn't matter whether they're Republicans or Democrats.
Can I ask you a question, Frank? Can we as Americans afford this?
Wait, Sean, hold on. Just
wait until you're sick, buy the policy, get well, drop the policy. When you get sick again, buy a policy.
I have a question. That is the Ron, Nicole, Kevin, you all voted for Obama. Can America afford his health care plan? Over the long term, you know how we're an aging country.
Well, I mean, I think like Social Security and Medicare, it's going to have to be tweaked. They're even talking about with the entitlement changes that are going to have to be done to Social Security. It's going to have to change. So, of course, give it time.
It's your generation.
Well, I think Obamacare bends the cost curve, and so the premiums are cheaper than they otherwise would be and grow at a slower rate.
Then why is it that 45 of the 50 states are raising their premiums?
Because the care that is given is higher than the care that was given on those high deductible plans that are lower cost in general.
By the way, Sean, he's in my ear and he's yelling at me. No, they're not. They're more expensive.
Was the coverage the same? Was the coverage the same?
This is a Republican plan, is it not?
Was the coverage the same?
This is based on a Republican plan from the 90s.
That's not true. The deductibles are going higher, premiums are going higher. People are not going to get the care they want. It's people don't realize how bad this is.
Okay.
They really don't.
I think it's relative. You have to compare this to the system that we've already had, which has been a disaster for a long time. We have the 43rd best health care in the world. We're supposed to be the best
how many of you support the president's health care plan? Raise your hands. And how many voted for Obama? Raise your hands. Sean, what has happened is that even some people who voted for Barack Obama don't support this health care plan. This debate ain't over. Just because the government's open and the members have gone home, this debate's going to continue.
All right, Frank, tell everybody thank you. A great group tonight, and we appreciate them being a part of it. And coming up next, Paul Harvey.